please. We would like to continue with our third panel for today's conference section. The second call, please take a seat. So, we would like to continue. This is the last call. Please take a seat. This is the third panel for today's part of the conference, Building as an Assemblage. And we start with a film collage, the second film collage, as a contribution by Florian Wüst, the film curator. And he's going to introduce this second film collage in a minute. The floor is yours, Florian, please.
Thanks again, Regina. It's really nice to present now a second collection of short film excerpts. It's in several aspects. It's an experiment. I think it's an experiment having such a thing as a contribution to an academic conference. So I'm very honored to be able to do that and to experience it myself. And of course, it's an experiment to take excerpts from documentary films, which are much longer than the excerpts I present. So that's quite a tough intervention into a complete work of art or work of filmic documentation. But I allowed myself to do that and create a new film with these excerpts that I think resonates in a very interesting way to what we have heard yesterday and today in the conference by all the speakers, and takes that topic or our investigation and reflection on the materiality of modernity to other places and to the field of lived experiences and social, economical and cultural realities. So in that second collage now, it's also about 13 minutes. It's 6 excerpts, and they span from the post-war era to the contemporary moment. And we have more the aspect of the human scale here. It's about the relationship of technology and nature, alternative and traditional or indigenous concepts of how to create sustainable spaces for living. So here now and again, I present after those excerpts, I present the title list. So it's connected a bit to a surprise that you not immediately know what it is about. But the titles and the filmmakers give some revelation to that. But I can say, we travel from Marseille in the early 1950s to near the town of Trinidad in southern Colorado and to Gateshead, opposite of Newcastle in northeast England, both in the 1960s and seen from a nearly today's perspective. Then we go on to the village of Gando in the center-east of Burkina Faso in the late 2000s, and from there to the region of Oyo in contemporary Guinea-Bissau. And lastly, to Stockholm and new designs of co-living. So enjoy those short film excerpts, and thanks again for your attention and interest.
And then that was our main house, and we all lived in that structure. It was our bedrooms, our kitchen, but it was extremely exciting to have pulled it off. And it was kind of wonderful and magical to be in this space that was totally unlike any space I'd ever been in.
We'd look up at the bottle caps, and those bottle caps would just be picking up light, and it was almost like being out in space.
For me, it became way more than just the structure of the geodesic dome. It became the whole Becky philosophy of structural integrity, economy of means, and the ecology of the world. So it was more than just a house to live in. It was also kind of a participation in a large world vision.
We discovered that there was this stuff called Celotex, which was cheap and light and easy to cut. We were quick learners. Somehow we heard about this thing where if you put flaps all around the bottom at the floor level that could open up in the summer and have screens, and then up at the ceiling there was a sort of a cornucopia with air spaces, you had this natural air conditioning where there was this airflow, and it was very wonderful because all this light showed at the bottom.
There was a thing about the 60s that architecture was a bad decade. It wasn't. It was a marvellous one. It was a decade of opportunity. We started growing very fast because suddenly it was clicking. We had a hit rate of about 1 in 3 at one stage. I made sure the world knew what we were doing. They might not like it, they might criticise it, but they knew what I was doing. The moment you design a building that has any real impact, there is an instinctive reaction that they tend to either think, yeah, that's great, or hate.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Leader. Hello. Hi, so pleased to meet you. Big day for you. Yes. Yeah, I think you got it wrong, but that's another question. Oh, no, I know you do.
In my early days, of course, the chances of your buildings being knocked down during a lifetime was pretty remote. Buildings lasted. What hurts is when you see one of your buildings mutilated. where somebody has been let loose on them that doesn't understand and doesn't have a feel for the integrity of the building.
Broken dreams. And Jay says he's going to lose his front teeth.
I think it's totally ridiculous to knock down a multi-storey car park, 600 cars, when there's a demand.
And what they're going to replace? Well, 20, 30 years' time, when they're going to knock that down and rebuild it, do you think there's going to be television cameras and people interviewing? Unlikely.
You've got to be able to educate people to think through what it could be, not what it is.
Hey, need to come baby. The door, okay?
it's literally like a little hole. But I mean, if I would get, let's say, when I want to have a partner, I can upgrade. But I don't have any plans on anything up until like 4 months from now, or at least 1 month from now. So I live very freely like that.
We have a 3D model of here. Yeah, here we can get a bit of sense of scale if we put him here outside the pods. So this is roughly 3 meters. So that means in these pods you have about 150 height to the ceiling. So you can't really stand up, but you can sit up properly. And 3 meters here, since this is about 2/3 of the height and this is about 1/3 of the height, you get almost 2 meters of height up until the ceiling in this section. So if we put this guy in that part of the pod, we can see that he fits nicely, no? He can walk around quite freely in that part of the pod. And stretch his legs and all.
And the other pod, if you put him there?
In this pod?
Yeah.
So if we move him over to the other pod, then we can see we don't really have the full height to be able to stand up in that pod. So that's why we wanted to try also this pod and see, maybe people would prefer, at least some people would prefer to have it sort of divided, so you have a little bit of less space where you sleep, but instead you would get sort of a part of the pod where you can actually stand up and walk around freely. Even though it's a very small space, it might add a lot of sense of space and feeling comfortable where you live when you can actually stand up. I mean, that can make a big difference, actually.